I was a very naive rookie, but I learned so much that year from just men, like, you know, weren't dirty or anything like that, played it very hard and played it very fair, and that kind of put me in stead then when I went into the senior. And fairness to the lads knew I'd probably be hurling senior the following year, and they looked after me that year. And then you go into a dressing with Philly Larkin and Peter Barry and these great men as well, and you know, that was very special to be part of that group, and to say yourself as a senior James Stephens hurler, it was a nice thing. And there was a core kind of group of myself and Richie Hayes and Owen McCormick and Brendan Doyle and Owen Larkin starting to come then as well, so it was nice for us to kind of all come through together.
Yeah, and then of course you were successful with St. Kieran's too, a couple of medals won there too, and you know, then things kind of started to, I suppose, enter a transition period for yourself when you came to under 21. You kind of started to blossom then. Yeah,
I started to come into myself a bit then, alright, yeah. You know, you could start to be beginning to see, right, minor under 21 both under 21 and minor with Kilkenny, maybe this is possible, you know. But I just pushed myself so much with the club and things like that, and you know, eventually we won an under 21. But before that, I got the call off Brian, and you know, I couldn't believe it, really. Like, it's your dream. I couldn't believe it was happening, and it probably took me maybe a year, 2 years of walking into a dressing room with my mouth open before I realised, you know what, Jackie, you're here. If you keep just looking around, you could be gone soon enough. You've got to make the best of this. So yeah, that was a big transition and a big change in me and my lifestyle, and obviously, and it was a hugely exciting time for me.
And you captained the Kilkenny team to All-Ireland success as well, under 21 in 2003.
Yeah.
And obviously you went on to the seniors as well, but we'll stay with 2003 first.
Yeah, that was magical, and we had 8 on the Kilkenny senior panel, and we played a week after we beat Cork in the senior All-Ireland, and obviously JJ and Tommy had played and that, but there was another 6 guys who were subs: Willie O'Dwyer, Ken Coogan, and like, we had a very, very strong team, and we beat Galway that year, a good Galway team that year, and that was huge. Like, you know, gave me great belief that I captained an under 21 Kilkenny winning team, and you know, Philly had done it as well, and I kind of had that in my mind as well. So it was a great day, and a great day for my family as well.
Yeah, and then you mentioned, you know, you got the call in 2003 to go onto the senior panel or whatever. You know, you bet Cork in 2003 or whatever, but I suppose in terms of breaking onto the team then, it was kind of 2005. But just looking back on it, like, you had Michael Kavanagh, James Ryle, Tommy played a bit in the corner at one stage as well. Serious lads to try and budge to go onto a team.
Yeah, there was. JJ did a stint back there as well. Obviously Noel Hickey was full back as well. Yeah, it was, and I'd never earmarked myself as a corner back. With my club, I'd nearly always played on the half back line, centre back, wing back, maybe a small bit midfield, and I wasn't even targeting cornerback, and when I started playing with Kilkenny, it was a cornerback, and obviously Brian seen something in me that could work that way. I hadn't played in the full back line probably since my under 14 days, so it was something new to me in that. But like Ant with Kilkenny, but you play corner forward, and I didn't really care. So like that, I was just trying to push myself as much as I possibly could, and wherever I got in, and I just tried to do the best there. But yeah, it was a very competitive set of backs, and then the full back line was ultra competitive as well.
Yeah, you were driving each other on there, of course, and I suppose at 6'2" and being a big lad, you're not exactly the most conventional, I suppose, cornerbacks to ever come through. You see Ollie Canning and even Cottle Barrett, to give a modern example, small lads coming out with a ball here and there, but you took to it like a duck to water, and as you mentioned, it's not the physique we're used to seeing as a cornerback, but you really became comfortable there, and that's where you established yourself, obviously, in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, the normal cornerback now is your Cottle Barrett, is your Paul Murphy, probably 5'10", 5'11", very explosive, very quick, and you know, and probably none of them really, you know. But yeah, that's I suppose, to be a good hurler, you have to be adaptable, and you got to play in these different positions and that. But yeah, I just kind of got thrown in, and I just tried to do the best I could. I was blessed to have a hurler of JJ Delaney in front of me in the half back line, so there was days I hadn't a whole lot to do really, and you know, we had great centre backs in John Tennyson and Brian Hogan and Noel Hickey beside me, so you know, you got a lot of protection out there as well, and Derek Ling in midfield. So yeah, and it was just one of those things. I just took off. I didn't do anything different. I just started playing cornerback, and I became kind of comfortable with the position, and you know, we built up a good kind of spirit within the backs, and it was a settled set of backs nearly all the time, which kind of gave you that security as well. And yeah, it just took off from there. And looking at it as well, the thing that struck me about you, Jackie, throughout that career was that
you probably never looked like a lad that was doing 100 mile an hour, but you always kind of knew where to be. And I suppose reading of the game, that was a big thing for you, and you were very good at it.
Yeah, my dad always told me when he was young, and he said he was the same. He wasn't the quickest, but he said there was definitely a yard upstairs that he used to get on his opponent, and
that's the most important yard.
Absolutely, yeah. And the first couple of yards of a ball coming in, if you can get out in front of your man and even take his ground, and I took that approach, and my dad had kind of taught me that when you're coming out to a ball, reading it and getting in front of him, and it's not about having speed. Sometimes you just got to be sharp upstairs, and even like watching Philly Larkin play as well, he wasn't the quickest either. So no, that was kind of my approach to it as well.
And then 2006, of course, you were captain. We'll come back to James Stephens briefly now in a sec, but we'll go to it straight away, because that's what gave you the opportunity in the first place. He'd won, I suppose, back-to-back titles. 2004 he got revenge against Gorn for that 96 team, and he went on and became All-Ireland champions. Yeah,
it was an amazing year really, and O'Loughlin's nearly had us beat in the semi-final, and Brian McAvoy got a goal right at the end to draw it. Probably didn't even deserve it. Came back, bet him the second day, and then we played Gorn in the final, and I was new to it. I didn't really know the history with Gorn. Obviously I'd seen it, but I didn't know how hurt the lads were over losing those county finals, and it was really Philly and Peter Barry, they were so central to that and driving that team forward, and we were very lucky to win at the end. DJ hit a 21 and it went about half an inch over the crossbar, and we didn't even see it, and if that had gone in they would have beaten us, but it was huge. 22 years we'd waited for a county final, and the scenes of emotion were amazing, and it was just a great time, and we didn't know where we were going to go, and we just went on a roll. After that we played Kilmessan a week later, and went on from there to play Owlert in a Leinster semi-final, and then UCD in Leinster final. So they were all good teams, but we were just playing with pure confidence, and then we played O'Donovan Ross in the semi-final, and then beat Athenry in Croke Park, which was just amazing.
The following season then, obviously I'm based down in Carlow. I went in as a 14-year-old at the time to see you play in Naval 1. They gave you a pretty big scare that day. I think probably the biggest scare you got in a long time.
Without a doubt, yeah. Big Des Murphy was full forward that day, and it was only Brian McAvoy got a crucial score with a couple minutes to go that barely got us over the line, and that was probably our toughest game and most physical game, and I was marking one of the Foleys that day, and I was still developing as a chap, and I seen this lad coming down and he's as big as a wardrobe. I said I'll have my hands full here today, and they were just pure men, but they were well able to hurl, and they put us to the pin of our collar that day, and we were very lucky to get out of there.
Yeah, Medji, you battle hard in the course, and them are the type of tests you want in situations like that. But I suppose on the back of that 2005 win then over Ballyhale, you got the honour of being captain in 2006. That was huge, of course.
It was massive, and I didn't know at the time, because Peter had obviously captained the year before, and I didn't know if Peter was going to play another year with Kilkenny or what. But he didn't announce his retirement. In typical Peter, he just drifted off into the background. Then I just got a call off Jimmy O'Brien one night just to say they were putting my name forward to the county board as captain for 2006, and sure, I couldn't believe it. I ran down and told my mum and dad straight away, and it was very surreal, but obviously coming with big pressure as well. And Kilkenny were a small bit kind of in transition at that stage. 05 we'd beaten an All-Ireland semi-final, and there was a lot of talk of maybe a change in the team and things like that, and Brian had brought in I think 8 or 9 of the under-21 team as well, so the word transition was very prominent in 2006, and I would have been part of that because I was relatively young at that stage as well, but it was very exciting, and I couldn't wait for the year to start.
And looking at it, you're 23, 24 then. There's lads that are around, I suppose, a good while. James McGarry was knocking around a good bit at that time.
Henry, Martin Comfort,
yeah, exactly. So coming in as a 24-year-old, you mentioned the word pressure there. How vocal were you in the dressing room at the time, given the fact that there was lads that were there a lot longer than you, and how comfortable were you with that, or how did you make that adjustment?
I wasn't that vocal, and I was so lucky I didn't need to be because of those guys there, and there was never a pressure that you're the captain, you have to speak like that, and I wasn't that vocal at all, but I didn't need to be because you had the likes of Henry Shefflin, James McGarry, Noel Hickey, Martin Comfort, great men in the dressing room, Derek Ling, and I had the pressure on myself to say, God, I need to talk, but because those lads were talking, I was just like, you know what, you don't need to talk here. These are the lads. Just listen to what the lads are saying, and I was very lucky because a 24-year-old trying to go in and talk there when you're only relatively new, it's not ideal really. But so that took a bit of the pressure off, and that I could just concentrate on training and getting the best of myself.
And obviously going up the steps is it's an amazing moment. Not many people get to do it and stuff. in terms of the after party, then obviously you gave it socks and had a few beers, but you know, a lot of people kind of take the approach where maybe they don't want to get absolutely stocious because they actually want to remember the night. Can you remember much of that night, or you know, what sort of a celebration was it?
Yeah, it was a good celebration. It was a brilliant celebration, but I was very conscious of trying to spend it with my family and things like that, and it was so huge for the family. And you know, obviously I was very emotional, as was my family. So I can remember a fair part of the night, and obviously I did hold back a bit in a sense that look, this might only ever happen to you once, and you want to be able to remember it. So I do remember most of the night anyway. There come to a point there where you 3 or 4 in the morning where you can't let go, and but it was just, you can just look back with a big smile on your face and remember the great day and the great night it was.